Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge. I'm happy to be joined by Kath Tees from Healthiest Manitowoc County and also Sergeant Paul Kroc from the Manitowoc Police Department. We're talking about a big and important topic. Tobacco is changing, and so this is for parents, for caregivers. Kath, Sergeant Kroc, welcome to Coffee on the Coast.
Thanks for having us.
We're so happy to see you, especially to talk about this big topic. So I know that there's an event tomorrow night. It's called Hidden in Plain Sight. This is going to be vaping education for parents and caregivers at the Manitowoc Public Library, 6:30 p.m. Tell us a little bit more about the reason for this event, the importance of this topic, and what parents and caregivers might learn.
Well, thanks for having us on. We're part of the Substance Use Prevention Coalition in Manitowoc County, and what we know is that 1 in 5 high school students are reporting vaping within the last 30 days. That's 2019 data, and 1 out of 9 middle school youth. So what we really want to do is help parents understand the products, because tobacco is changing. There's a lot of products out there, so that they understand what the products look like, the tactics that the industry is using to really lure their children to try the products. And then we want to also make sure families know that there's cessation resources specifically designed to help teens.
And because research hasn't shown that vaping is a healthy alternative, right? Like, it's not like it's good for a body to be vaping.
It's really interesting because the products have only been around a little over a decade. And we do know that I think everyone would agree that we don't want young people to start using any nicotine delivery system, whether it's a cigarette, which most young people don't want to smoke anymore. It's just fascinating that they see this product as different. If you're an adult and you're using the product, it's possible. Research is leading us to believe that it's healthier than combustible cigarettes. But our program is really based on, we would like youth not to start. And if they have started and they become addicted, that parents look at the addiction and the resources rather than think, I'm just going to toss this product away and solve the problem, because that's not how addiction works.
So, okay, that's a really important point. So vaping can lead to addiction. Like, can a person be addicted to vaping?
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it doesn't
Okay.
take long. A vape, one product, one vape pod has the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. And yet, a pod is flavorful. It doesn't burn your throat. It tastes good. It doesn't leave you stinky. And so, young people easily can think, well, how could this be harmful? But
Mhm.
it still has nicotine in them.
Talking about
Most,
those flavors you mentioned, previously
yeah.
you had told me that there are like hundreds, if not thousands, of different flavors and definitely targeted towards young kids, right? Like, was unicorn poop one of them, or?
Yes, yes, unicorn poop is one of them. They're fruit flavored. They're packaged with similar names to the, sugary cereals we all grew up with. There's over 1,500 products out there, flavors.
And so does
And
it look, is it packaged in a cute way? Is that something parents should be looking out for too? That if they see something like that, it's not necessarily candy or sweets?
I think that's part of why we are calling it hidden in plain sight, really, is that these products can be laying right out in front of you. And you may think that they're a school supply or candy, because they really do resemble products that would be typical to see in a teenager's room.
Right. And so, okay, hidden in plain sight is an important concept because once upon a time with, tobacco cigarettes, it was pretty obvious if it was a pack of cigarettes or if it was a cigarette stick. Now we're talking about something completely different. I think you had previously mentioned, like, it might look like a USB drive. Tell us a little bit about some of those things.
The shapes and the colors and the packaging is really, people are paid big money to design a product that looks very similar to something that you would see on your teen's desk. It could look like a jump drive. It could look like a pointer for a presentation. It could look like just a school supply. So we'll have some of those at the presentation, and Officer Crock is also going to have some products in the bedroom that parents might think, gee, this looks pretty normal to have, but then you find out it's a product designed to hide something.
And are you finding, Sergeant Croc, items like this are showing up in the schools? Are kids finding ways to take these with them wherever they go?
Yeah, so that's the thing we're seeing with vapes is that they're very easy to conceal. And as Kath had mentioned, that some of the flavors or the scents, it's not like in the past with a cigarette where you have this big plume of smoke that's real stinky, things like that. A vape is usually a more pleasant smell, a little more, flavorful, and it dissipates a lot more quickly. So, you could take a little puff from the vape. A couple seconds later, the scent is gone. The vapes are so small that they're easy to conceal. So it is something that we're definitely seeing a lot more of.
Are there any other things that parents should be aware of? For example, when I was back, ages ago when I was in high school and I would come home, I would always get a big hug from my parents and a deep sniff. There was always that, okay, have you been somewhere where people were smoking or were you smoking, right? Those types of questions. Are there, any other telltale signs that parents and caregivers can be on the lookout for of whether they should even suspect that their child or student is dabbling in vaping?
Kath, what do you think?
I wasn't sure if you were going to speak first. I think that I'll let you go, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it could lead to I don't think, like you said, the big sniff is probably not going to be a telltale sign. I would probably look for maybe more of a change in behavior, things like that. And then two, if teenagers are buying these products, and normally they wouldn't have money, they may be, sneaking some change or some money out of mom's purse or dad's wallet in order to fund that habit. Kath said that these products do contain nicotine, so it's highly addictive. So, if we have a teenager that is addicted, they're going to want to find a way to, get that nicotine and, get that fix.
I would also say too that I was a smoker, and I know that I hear people talk about how they're focused, like they need that nicotine every couple hours. Maybe as a new user, you wouldn't be thinking that way, but all of a sudden, addiction is going to take over and it's going to manage your life, and you're going to need that fix. And so you become more crabby and more agitated, and teen years, boy, it's a rough patch anyway. So I think my hope is that parents just have meaningful conversations. And during our presentation tomorrow, we will have a local counselor, we'll have a guidance counselor available, and a therapist to talk about how to have meaningful conversations with your kids about tough topics. Because it's shameful, really, to find out that a product I thought was not a problem is creating a problem for me, and then to disclose that is not easy. So we want really families to approach it from a place of love, from a place of understanding, and really I would much rather have you be mad at the industry that's targeting your young person than at your young person, because they're getting messages on social media all the time about products like this.
And are these products available to purchase at any age, or is there an age minimum?
So the age is 21, and yet many of us can just log on to a computer and click a button that says my age is this, yes or no. So we know that students can find them on the internet, though there is a protective question to say, what age are you? But if you have a debit card or if you have a gift card from a birthday, it's easy to purchase them. They're also not all tobacco products are not behind the counter. So there also are, potentials for you to find them not behind the counter. And that's strategic of the industry as well.
What advice would you give to a parent or a caregiver if they do discover that their teen or, even younger is vaping?
I think that teens need to feel like you're there to help support them, just like anybody in a recovery mode needs support, needs understanding. And there are some resources, and we'll have them at the meeting. But for listeners to live vape free, if they just Google that, live vape free, there are resources for not only young people but also for parents. And in Wisconsin, we have Tobacco is Changing. It's a website and it's very educational, and that's also for parents, teachers, and people who are working with young people. So, let's come from a place of kindness and concern and try to link them to resources rather than, come from a place of not my kid, because, the industry's got 1,500 flavors, so there's one for anybody.
Wow. Okay. So tomorrow night, I'm going to put this graphic back up. We are talking about hidden in plain sight. This is vaping education for parents and for caregivers, really anyone that is interested in this topic. This is going to be tomorrow night, Thursday, October 28th at 6:30 p.m. at the Manitowoc Public Library. Kath Tees from Healthiest Manitowoc County is going to be there. Sergeant Paul Kroc from the Manitowoc Police Department are going to be there. You're going to have resources, answers, suggestions, and a pretty good introduction for parents and caregivers to be on the lookout. Because, like you're saying, these items can be hidden in plain sight.
Yes, and there's be 4 teenagers from Two Rivers High School at our event also. So it's going to be interactive. You'll get to move through a bedroom that kind of gives you a sense of what the products look like and what you might want to look for, and most importantly, what resources are available.
Interesting. Okay, it sounds really valuable. Whether you are concerned about your kids currently, whether you just have questions, whether you just want to learn more about this important topic, it sounds really valuable. How long do you think the presentation is going to last tomorrow?
It's scheduled for 75 minutes, and we need to be out of the library by 8 p.m. So 75 minutes. That's the plan.
So there you go.
7:45.
Hard stop. All right. So, Sergeant Kroc, have you seen, do you have any stories that you can tell about experiences, encounters with kids who have tried vaping or?
Well, I know we did see quite an uptick back in 2019 prior to the pandemic. Just the city of Manitowoc alone had 57 instances where officers had to write a citation for a minor being in possession of a nicotine device. So it was pretty prevalent, with youth in our community. So if we're coming across 57 as police officers, I can guarantee you there's a lot more teens out there that are actually using it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So most school properties don't allow smoking, right? Does vaping fall under that same ban, or is it like a gray area right now?
We've been working as a coalition with schools for several years, and just like when in 2010, when the smoke-free air law came along, we we had to work with industry to change their language. I'm getting feedback. I'm thinking that hopefully they can hear.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. You sound good.
Okay, so the school, Wisconsin Public School DPI has best practice language now for schools to look at, and individual school boards are taking a look at that. Some have already made the changes. Really, the push is that we have alternatives to suspension and fining. We're really working hard. Best practice is that we address the addiction rather than consequence the behavior, or at least a blend that we use it as an opportunity to talk about nicotine addiction and cessation.
And I do like the approach that you've suggested, Kath, of approaching it with kindness and love and support, and not punishment and consequence. I think that's a brilliant strategy.
That's not always easy when you're the parent, faced with it. I understand that. And that's part of why we have Becky Richards and Katie Wilsman coming. Katie works with students as a school guidance counselor, and Becky is an AODA counselor. So they'll be available to field some questions as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks to both of you for shedding a light on this important topic. It seems like it's moving fast and affecting our kids, quicker than there are rules and laws and understanding, catching up with it. So again, one more time, viewers, tomorrow night, Thursday, October 28th, 6:30 p.m. at the Manitowoc Public Library. This is Hidden in Plain Sight, Vaping Education for Parents, no charge to attend, right?
No charge.
Excellent. Join Kath Tees from Healthiest Manitowoc County and Sergeant Paul Kroc from the Manitowoc Police Department. Thanks to both of you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us here on Coffee on the Coast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.